Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at the Euro USD and GBPUSD and come up with trade ideas for the day if there are any. So jumping right into it, let's look at Forex Factory. Today is a Friday and we have retail sales, flash PMI and flash services PMI for the pound, and then we have GDP for the USD and core PCE, price index and manufacturing PMI, okay, for the USD as well. So let's look at the charts and look at what's been going on and what we can expect for today. So this is what we have. So yesterday was a bit of an indecision candle. However, we had a strong push down, okay, and then today's Friday. So far it looks like it's continuing, and we're saying that it's possible that price could now be pushing down to mitigate this pivot, okay. So we could now see price reach into this pivot, okay, and mitigate deeper into that pivot. Now, whether that will be enough to cause a reaction that is, that will reverse the pullback phase, that remains to be seen. But we can only expect that we'll get some kind of reaction, okay. We can only expect that we may get some kind of reaction. So it may be right, just mitigate and then we go, or it will just be a small reaction towards the extreme of the zone and then a small reaction and then the zone fails. Okay, so we should be ready for any of those scenarios. And then for the pound, it's the same thing. We're expecting price to push down, okay, and saying that possibly to mitigate this extreme unmitigated demand, which is at the EQ, okay, at the EQ of the swing range, okay, at the EQ of the swing range. And now we have mitigated, okay, and on lower time frames, of course, we see this week, that means there was a little bit of reaction, okay. You see this week there was a little bit of reaction, but the momentum is still to the downside, okay. The momentum is still to the downside. We have these relative equal lows, so price can still continue, take these lows out, and everything else after this is mitigated. So it's also likely that all of these areas could fail, okay. It is likely that all of those areas could fail as well. So looking at the 4 hour, on the Euro USD, and so now price, we have come into this 4 hour POI that is at the proximal of the daily demand, okay. So price has been strongly bearish, okay, in this pullback phase, because our swing and our internal, they are bullish, okay, but our sub-internal is bearish. So we only focus on the current trend, okay. Current trend is what we mainly focus on. That's where we get our trade ideas. So because we are bearish, okay, so the idea is to remain bearish. However, now we should be cautious because we are at the demand, at the daily demand, okay. We are now at the daily demand, so we should be cautious that a reaction might kick in, okay. A reaction might kick in. Now this demand may fail, and then we may mitigate the extreme, and then we may have a better reaction from the extreme, okay. So these are things just to be aware of. And then looking at the 1 hour, so looking at the 1 hour, this is what we have. This is what we have on the 1 hour. So we did mitigate this 1 hour demand that is nested at the extreme of the 4 hour. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, this is the demand. Okay, we see a great push up. Okay, and then we did get a little bit of a reaction from it. Okay, so it hasn't failed. It has not failed, but we've broken structure to the downside. This is our internal range, okay, that we're in at the moment. So price has already looked like it has done the pullback, and this is a weak low. Okay, that is we have a weak low, so price is likely to continue to break this weak low. Okay, and maybe have a deeper mitigation of this zone, or even cause the zone to fail. Okay, but we are still being cautious because we are entering this daily demand. Okay, still entering this daily demand. So obviously price has been bearish all week. Okay, strongly bearish all week, pushing down, pushing down. So at some point we can expect that we might have a bit of a bigger retracement. Okay, a bit of a bigger retracement. Now whether that will happen today, that remains to be seen, but we should be cautious of that. Okay, so following trend direction, current trend is we are bearish. Okay, so high probability trades would be to remain bearish, to stick with the bearish trades. Okay, intraday or something on the lower time frames. Okay, as we can see, this wasn't mitigated. Price did come up, but it didn't reach. It only came up to this to that basing area. Okay, that basing candle, and that's what it mitigated, and then did not mitigate this fractal area. Okay, so and then after that it just had a strong push down. Okay, so that's it for the pound. For the euro USD, we are still bearish. Okay, so we can expect this to fail as price continues bearish, but because we're also entering this demand, so at some point we can expect some kind of bullish reaction. Okay, so that will be the idea for today. And then let's look at the pound. So I'll start from the 4 hour because we've already looked at the daily. All right, so our 4 hour is like this. So our swing is bullish, right? But our internal is bearish. Okay, and then we've had our internal break of structure. This is our internal range at the moment. Okay, we are bearish. Okay, so it's high probability to be looking for sell trade, right? However, we've entered or we've mitigated this for our demand, which is a reaction to a previous demand, and we have relatively equal lows. So it is highly likely that this will fail. Price will probably mitigate that, and that will fail. And I'm looking at this week. This is just a week, so it's likely that price could continue and just break through. Okay, break through this area, and then maybe afterwards, that's when it may have a reaction. Okay, that's when it may then have a reaction. But right now we do have resting liquidity down there, and this is just a week. Okay, so usually weeks are weak, and the week as well. So wicks, W-I-C-K, are weak as in W-E-A-K. Okay. So we don't have a great movement as well from that from this area. We don't have great departure, so it is highly likely that if price breaches these lows, and if it decides to continue bearish, it will likely go all the way and breach this zone as well. Okay, so looking at the 1 hour, so looking at the 1 hour, 1 hour internal is bearish. Okay, so we've been breaking structure to the downside. Okay, and we've been having strong pushes to the downside. So bias is bearish. Okay, bias is bearish, but again, because we've mitigated this daily demand in this 4 hour that is nested, we may get a reaction. Okay, so price may push up, or even continue bullish. Okay, however, we're expecting the trend to continue, so we may have a bit of a push up. Okay, maybe to mitigate these areas, or to come up to mitigate these areas. Okay, and then we may have a continuation towards these lows, because remember, we say we have these relatively equal lows which are likely going to be broken. Okay, which are likely going to be taken. Okay, and then on the 1 hour, okay, so on the 1 hour we do have somewhat a good looking POI at the extreme. Okay, so we have this bullish engulfing candle. Okay, however, it did not push price and lead to a straight break of structure. Okay, so we did have the bullish engulfing, but then we had this pullback and then slow price movement to finally break structure. So this may not be a good area to look for longs. Okay, counter trend. Okay, so I'll just cover that. Okay, and then we have this POI and like that. Okay, so this is what we have. So right now, more than anything, sales are the way to go. Okay, and then if you're looking for counter trend scenarios, then you may have to wait until price gives you some kind of clear confirmation, okay, that is willing to continue bullish. Okay, as it stands, we are strongly bearish. Okay, so it is likely that price will continue dropping. Okay, at least we could look for longs after this demand has failed, like after we've taken liquidity at the bottom here. Okay, those relative equal lows on the left, and then maybe once those are swept, then we could try to catch something quick. Okay, a quick reaction of some sort. Okay, so that's it for today. That's my analysis for today. So please, if you find value in this material, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comments how you are applying this in your own trading. Okay, otherwise, have a good day and have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week, God willing. Have a good day, and Working Trader out.